Welcome to Soundbreaker. On today's episode, we're talking to Ryder Havdale, who is the founder and CEO of Helios. Just like Cheerios, Helios Creators Inc. Ryder, thank you for joining us, sir. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, can you please introduce yourself? Not too much, just a bit before we dive into it. I know it's going to be fun, it's going to be interesting and insightful.
Bob, it's a pleasure to be here. You're reaching me. Where are we at? We got to LA a couple weeks ago. I'm in Eagle Rock, and my life is music, and I'm excited to talk to you.
Man, I always love talking to other people in the music business. It's really interesting.
It never
Yes,
gets
so a
old.
lot of stories. Yeah, it never gets old.
You know,
Um,
my great grandmother lived to 107, and she played the piano until she was 107. And I always thought that was the coolest thing. Like everything else I loved doing
Amazing.
as a kid, like skateboarding and that. It's like, can I do that at 107? I mean, Tony Hawk.
Hey, well, at 105, I'm going to do an interview with you. Both of us will do interviews to each other.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yes. Ryder, can you take us back a bit? What got you started to get involved, to develop that passion, to carve that path in the music business? Shall we go back to your teenage years, a bit even or younger? Like, how did it all get started?
I mean, it's funny. There's a piano back here. I'm staying at Maki's house, the producer. He does
Yes.
this stuff.
Yes.
But I took piano lessons as a kid, and I hated every second of it. Me and my mom fought every day about piano lessons, and I think at the end of it, I could play the first bit of The Entertainer after years. Anyway, I couldn't stand the sound of a piano for 20 years. But in grade 9, a friend of mine. I went to his house for lunch, and he was learning Master of Puppets by Metallica. And I wasn't even a Metallica fan, but I went back a month later, and he could actually play the thing. I went home that night, and my dad bought me an electric guitar. And within a year, my first band was a Slayer cover band. And, never looked back.
Amazing. Ryder, can you share a bit of your experience, as the webmaster at Rogers Communications? And how did it influence your career path?
I mean, so, at the time, I always thought music was like, you had to have the plan B. And my thinking these days is, if I were to tell anybody my age back then, this would be like, just go for your plan A, because you're always going to end up doing the plan B unless you just go for it, right? So, I went to school for for web development. And sure enough, got like a job working. I was the webmaster for Rogers Media, doing all their Rogers radio websites. In fact, put this in perspective. Day one was September 11th when the planes went in the building, and I was doing animated GIFs for the news station of this. That was like the first thing I ever did in web development. Anyway, the DJs at Rogers were always worried about their jobs whenever the ratings would come around. And I was like, it's just funny because I just told this story on the other day, and it's such an honor to how it's come full circle. But I was we went and saw Will Oldham play one night. And, this is in Vancouver, and he's up there, he's shoeless, just him and a guitar. And it was a Sunday night, and after the show, I was like, to my friend Peter Doig, it's like, hey, like, how does that guy get to tour the world and do that? It was just like mind blowing. I played in a band with Peter, and the thought of leaving Vancouver was so foreign. And I'm sitting at my desk the next day, having a coffee, about to tie into the cogs of the internet. And I get this phone call. I was thinking about that conversation. I get this phone call, and it was HR. And they're like, can you come down and talk to us? And I get down there, and they're like, well, your job's not done out of Vancouver anymore, so we're going to pay you to leave. And I was like, oh my God, the universe just called. And I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. Like, you're paying me to leave? So within a year, ended up starting a record label to put the two bands I was involved with out. And then people started asking me to put out their records. And but it all came from that show, that Will Oldham show. As of today, literally as of the last hour, we are featuring Will Oldham. He tours as Bonnie Prince Billy. We are featuring his record, Ease Down the Road, which, it's such an honor to get to release this record it's for this man. I sat at his dinner table in Louisville, Kentucky about a month ago. The way the universe came around, we've got a mutual friend and he's all excited about what we're doing. So to put that into perspective, yes, that was the last job I had. Proper job was at Rogers Media. And it was seeing Will Oldham that set me on a path where, that was the last salary job I've had. So since then, I've been a musician, running a record label. I've been touring with a band called Broken Social Scene the last 6 years, helping them out. And, we've been working on Helios for about 3.5 years now. And it's just starting to go live now. We just got into the Apple App Store 2 weeks ago. It's live.
Congratulations.
People play. Yeah, thank you. And it's exciting. I mean, it's I thought the journey in music is it always takes a bit longer than you think.
Yes, absolutely. So you've been bootstrapping it on your own, doing your thing.
We have. I mean, by the way, I haven't touched any of the code. On this, I did go to school for web development, but I've got a whole team of devs that are way beyond my abilities and some incredible people on the team. And I'm very grateful. There's about a dozen of us right now, 6 on the dev side. And yeah, it was bootstrapped for a while, for a good while. And then we started getting different investors coming in and, it's been a whole thing.
What got you motivated?
Well, the label was just, it was like, we had these records, we sent them around, and I was like, you know what, let's just start this. And I mean, it comes back to the same thing with Helios. It's like, you know what, you want to change, our model is unique and different than every other full stream catalog platform. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just got to build it. So, I had 1 million streams on one track, and it opened up Pandora's box. Nice. What is actually happening on these platforms? I've been in music 20 years. Why do I have to actually why can't I see how much money made it to our distributor on the platform, etc.? I know you've been running. I want to work with you with Music Dash.
A Music Dash is the only platform to go to. It's free for every artist out there. Everybody's welcome. We don't judge your music. That's it. You come in, no credit cards, nothing. You just upload and your music go live. And there's a lot of free AI components coming in for artists for free to help them out, to enhance and make their process and journey into the music business and making the music out there, getting the music out there much easier and seamless and faster and free. FREE. I'd like to say it in every possible language, so I can reach out.
Well, the funny thing is that's our model too right now. You can, on your phone, you can upload your album.
We will be 57 languages. The platform will be in 57 languages. Yeah.
Awesome.
And more. We're already up to I think 6 or 8 languages. Yeah.
Amazing.
Listen, this is not just about Music Dash. This is about you. You're the star today, beside Music Dash, obviously. Ryder, you are the star, my friend here. So I know you've been through a lot of struggles. You've been extremely positive since the interview started, and smiling and happy and motivated. And that's the way to be in the music business. It's all about how you feel, your mindset. And because music makes people happy. So you definitely cannot be in that sad mode. You got to be always in a happy go mode.
I mean,
what challenges did you come across? Huh? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's funny because the last 5 years, I get that compliment a lot on tour and that. And it's like,
yes.
But I actually wake up and I try and meditate every day. And I either do 100 burpees or I go to the gym or I go for a run every day because otherwise.
I love the burpees.
I love the burpees too.
Hey, big CrossFit guy right here.
Well, it was the pandemic that really got, where we couldn't go anywhere and we had, we were locked in a house. It was just like,
yes,
I couldn't even do 10 burpees when we started that, but
you know what it is? It's the bald head. It's the bald head.
I agree. That's what it is. It's more aerodynamic.
Yes. And less things to take care of. It's like you just wake up happy. You just run your fingers through. There's nothing there. Great. I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. Ryder, tell us about some of your challenges that you've been through throughout your journey so far. Some of the challenges that you really faced, and how did you actually overcome these challenges?
I mean, the biggest one running a startup is obviously burn rate and, keeping people paid. And when you're telling people, it's like when you're looking for investors and and it's like, yeah, well, we're going to be taking on Spotify. And, you know, it just seems like an enormous feat for a lot of people, which is fine.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, we're going for a niche audience right now. And how did we overcome that? I mean, you know, we just started building. And at first, you know, it was like one person on the team. And, you know, then a couple of people started buying in, and, you know, it got a lot easier. Right now, you know, we switched the focus. We're like, one of our early investors was, I don't know if you follow crypto much, but one of our early investors was from Solana, the Solana dev team, Stephen Lucier. So there is a whole Web3 component, and, you know, we're launching a token for this, a rewards token. In other words, it's just a way to, if people are building the platform, if they're referring friends, etc., they get rewarded in Helios. But it allows us, it's a differentiator between Helios and every other streaming company, because it allows us to reach into that pile of, you know, it's a whole other market that we get to tap into. And, you know, we've been, the whole token play has been really interesting and helped us get through some of the bits.
Very exciting. Very exciting. You know, you traveled across the world, Japan, Australia, North America, Europe, with Mohawk Lodge, or the Mohawk Lodge. Tell us about some of the memorable stories, interesting things that really kind of still with you till this day throughout your journey across the world.
I mean, you know, the story, that's funny. I haven't thought about that project in a minute. But I mean, the thing with shows and until you actually do it is just like, I love that adventure. I love the pressure of just making shows happen, getting to the next show, and, you know, and just overcoming setbacks every day. Your day feels complete because you make it to the stage, and, you know, you have that hour of like, just where you're right in the zone. But every bit of that day is like, yeah, we're doing this 100% for music. And that's what I love about touring. You know, it's funny enough. When you say that, I think of this one tour we did, and I had a band that year. I had 5 different bands on different continents back me. And this one band came on the road. We had 2 practices and then went down the West Coast and across the bottom. There weren't a lot of people at these shows, but the front man in that band, he was the one person that wasn't backing me. They would play and then we'd play. The long and the short of it was, I think he thought I was trying to take his band. But anyway, halfway we're in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and he wasn't really hacking it on the road. And he's like, we're leaving. So I was like, okay, drop me off at a a car rental. I go get this car. So I've just lost the entire band. We just had these about 10 shows where there were like 20 people. This is like 2011. And, all they had was a pickup truck. And so I've got my amp. I'm supposed to have, 2 rock bands showing up. I've got my amp next to me in my bag and driving for 6 hours to get to Richmond. And I get there, the phone's almost out of juice. I was just so bummed out. I woke up. My grandmother had died that day. There was a number of things. The band left. But I get there and it was sold out. It was a 200-person soft theater.
Wow.
And I played these songs, on this electric guitar. Told the opening band had driven from Alabama to actually play with us because they were fans. So anyway, it's just me and an electric guitar, and people were requesting songs. And it was like, it could have been very easy to just get on a flight and fly home that day. But
you decided to duke it out.
And that will be the most memorable show of my life, because it was like, holy shit, like people were there to see, me and our band. And, I told them my grandmother was also from Virginia. She was from West Virginia. And so like getting to tell that story. So yeah, I did the next 22 shows alone on that trip all the way back. I had a week off and then I flew to Australia and started another month with a different band backing me. But that one show was like, I don't think I've ever talked about that particular night, but it was like, it was just like, I needed that audience there. And, when you get to just got to keep going.
Amazing. Yes, yes, absolutely. Great, inspiring story. Ryder, you've been in the business for quite a while. You've seen the business go through all type of changes, physical, digital, AI now, and there is next. It's not going to stop. There's next also. I mean, I don't know if digital streaming will be the way we're going to consume. I think one day, I don't know, 5+ maybe years, it'll be part of
I
what
mean, it already
you.
is. It's all obviously like music and music consumption. I've never been
Yes.
one to be like, oh man, we need to go back and like I was never one who, we put out
Mm,
CDs at a time, a whole lot of them, a whole lot of LPs
mm,
for the label. And, it's just changed. But there
yes.
are things in the way that it's changed that like I would like to help move it into the future. And Helios is, this is how we get a lot, consume a lot of content in the moment. So Helios right now is mobile
Correct.
only. But like I bought the Quest a couple of years ago just to see what that future is like, because as we have all the catalog, etc., it's there will
Hmm.
be different devices and different ways to consume content,
Yep.
and I'm here to embrace it. And obviously, I would just like to see the changes I want to see are that the way that that revenue gets distributed to artists, I feel could be different. So we're 100% of your subscription goes back to whomever you engage with on the platform. In other words, if I listen to one seduction track, what does that feel brand new? And that's all I did that month. You know, Music Dash is getting $10 and you pay the, whatever it's going to be. And in your case, it's
Amazing.
well, it sounds like it's very similar to our model. But if you listen to one
Yes.
seduction track and one broken social scene track, it's $5 and $5. That's how the platform goes. Um, and then obviously we tie into the Solana chain. If you want to upload directly to Helios, it's essentially supercharges your content. But yeah, I mean, I
Amazing.
never think about the past. You can only think about what you want to change in the future. And I mean, I feel like we're the last of the mortal humans. It's like I was talking to somebody the other day about Transcendent Man with Ray Kurzweil,
Uh-huh.
and just like his philosophies on, people are going to barely be what we call classically human in 50 years, because we'll be able to keep different parts of our bodies alive, etc. I mean, you can already regenerate organs from stem
Yeah.
cells and everything else. I mean,
So
I,
it means
I
we can live for a lot longer. We can live 500 years. It might not be all your body. Maybe the head is the same, but the body is different, younger body or something,
I
generate a
mean, it's
younger
going to
body
be
for you.
wild. Like just the thing of the changes like we've seen in our lifetime is incredible. But like, I can't wait to see what's happening in 100 years. Like, I feel like, yeah,
Mm.
I am going to grow.
100, less than 100 years. I think less. I think
Yeah.
less.
I mean,
We're going to see a lot.
it's cool.
Um, you know, we started talk about consumption. How do you what's your vision that you would think that music consumption gonna go to? Like what's the future will hold for us? How are we gonna consume content? Because usually what dictates that the way we communicate, which is our mobile devices, that gonna change. It's not gonna last long.
I mean,
You're not gonna be
I don't
carrying
think in
this thing.
5 years people are going to have like, fucked up necks like we do now. Sorry for swearing, but like everybody
Beep
walked out. It's just
beep.
like hope. I really think it's like obviously it's going to be something as far as glasses that aren't like those Apple Vision things.
No, I mean I think they're a case study for now. They're a case study.
Sure,
They're
but
not
I mean
a
it's interesting
yeah.
because like the potential is so incredible with that
Yes.
delivery device, but
Yes.
friction points in that delivery device are sort of insurmountable. I would say, like I can see on the Quest how many of my friends actually have one of those, and it's like a fraction, like 6 people maybe, but the
Yeah.
point, and yet there's so much potential in there. But yeah, we're going to get to a moment where it's just going to be like you're going to be it's probably going to look like we're talking to ourselves but without a device on, and or we'll just think about it. I mean, it's literally like I want to listen to Bonnie Prince Billy, and it will just like I don't know, there's going to be some I asking me to
I think
predict
it's
that.
more just listening. I think to be part of it, be part of the music, not just listening. I think to into that. We're gonna dive into that mixed reality metaverse world.
I
You
mean,
know,
it's going to be wild.
and
And I hope that people,
yes,
I just want to see, I mean, there's something about consuming content. There's something about being live in a room, right? Now, this stuff is also
yes,
going to change in AI, right? Right now,
yes.
even if you watch a live music concert on YouTube, it's not the same experience. You know, it's like you get to
Sure.
like you get the visual of it, but there's so many other senses that happen when you're experiencing a concert. And I think we will get there as far as AI at some point where you're like you can smell like you're in the room, etc. But I really hope that actually doesn't like there's going to be nothing to consume if artists can't afford to be artists and to be able to
Mhm.
like hone that craft of connection. Like it really takes
I know what you mean.
going on the road and sleeping on top of each other and like just fucking like being in that zone to really hone the craft of creating something unique
Mhm.
and special. And like you can't, as much as we can like create tracks just on our computers, etc. The what and I love electronic music too, but it takes a certain amount of understanding what it takes to connect to people, whether when you're on a stage or whatnot, like
Mhm.
to see that music connecting to people. So I hope that we can value artists enough that they still get to grow and become, epic in that environment. Because if we can't figure out ways to
Yes.
make it worthwhile for our smartest people in our culture to pursue music, then we're going to be kind of hooped. Anyway.
You got involved in Broken Social Scene. What made you do that collaboration? And how would it impact your musical journey?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with them 6 years, and I came on as Kevin's guitar
Yeah.
tech. And to me, it's just a joy getting to be
Yeah.
like experience that, showing up to a venue and having thousands of people witness their favorite band. Whereas, like,
Hmm.
I've played hundreds of shows where it's me winning over an audience, just a different jam. And it's been a pleasure getting to play a couple notes on a few tracks and whatnot. It's just like live. And
Hmm.
just being part of the entire thing has been, yeah, just a joy. And also, I love working with them because it's like, a long weekend here or a long weekend there. It doesn't cut into, Helios. It actually gives me more perspective on the entire music industry. And,
Hmm.
like getting to meet Meryl Streep last year. Pretty awesome. My mom was proud from it.
You're also the general manager of Hand Drawn Dracula. And how do you balance between supporting indie artists and Helios, your own platform, and and your other musical endeavors?
Yeah, I mean,
You
well, it's
get your
funny.
hands in many pots.
The with hand drawn, I just I've kept their finances, like helping with the grants and that the last
Hmm.
uh, probably 6 years too. Um, but I think it's just I operate better when I have, when it's not all things in my life happen better when it's
Yeah,
not 100% one or the other. Like I like to get to contribute to different things, and it keeps life, more interesting. But yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
it's funny. Like when we say that, it's like I actually just released 48 tracks, like 4 albums and 3 EPs on my birthday this couple weeks ago. I turned 48, and I was like,
Amazing.
you know what? I did a couple records with some of my favorite people. Actually, some of those Broken Social Scene people played on one of them, and I did one of the records with this guy John McIntyre. He's the drummer for Tortoise, the Sea and Cake. He recorded like Stereo Lab and just a ton of my
Hmm.
favorite records. But we did it over COVID, and because of Helios, like I have been so the Helios is my main baby. That these records just sat, and it didn't really feel like like that part has sort of suffered a little bit, just as far as like not feeling like, well, part of it why we started Helios didn't feel like it was worth releasing music. Like I had a couple million streams on a track, and I'm like, what is happening here? It was also the poppiest, like most throwaway thing that I'd ever put out, but this song called Tokyo. But the point being, it's actually funny because in the 2 weeks I put those out. Like one of those records got mastered in 2015, but it had taken me so long in Ableton, and I like ironed it out so much that I was just like, I lost the joy. But it's funny when you like having Helios and doing these other things, it's like releasing those songs. Now I can just release them and go, that was a document, that was a time. I'm proud of all that, and I'm not so emotionally invested in it. So having other things keeps you from being as emotionally invested in one particular thing. But that's just what works for me. I like having my hands in it. I like juggling.
Hey, it's part of the music. That's what makes you creative. It's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Ryder, how about you break down, Helios for us, for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah. So Helios is, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between full catalog. You've got generally your full catalog platforms are your Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, Apple Musics. And then you've got user-generated content platforms, like say where you can upload directly, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, YouTube. And then you've got, your say NFT, music NFT platforms, which are in that same user-generated content category, which would be like Sound or Zora. We're a hybrid. We're currently ingesting, the same 100 million tracks that are on every full catalog platform. We've got Dick Huey from, he used to work at Spotify. I think he was the first guy doing licensing in the States for Spotify in 2011. He's our head of licensing. So he's working on this pop puzzle. Now, on Helios, you can upload directly, you can upload your album directly, have it up in 2 minutes. And what makes Helios unique is that it also ties in when you upload it. You can literally be minting it to Solana, to the blockchain if you want, which opens up unique opportunities. So as far as like catalog, it's a mix of, full catalog and user generated content. Now on the revenue side, it's we're all in on 100%. 100% of your engagement goes to whomever you listen to or engage with. Likes are with a little bit, comments a bit more, shares a bit more, and a 5 and a listen a lot more. It all goes into this algorithm, and your $10 gets split. So just, you have a platform like Spotify where they've decided they're only paying after you get 1,000 streams, and like probably 90% of the artists on there don't get 1,000 streams. And then, like my dad listens to one Willie Nelson record a month, let's say. So, it pays out at 0.004 cents to Willie's label. And it's like half a penny goes to his label and $9.99 goes to Spotify. So we're trying to disrupt that. Not disrupt it. Spotify does great. I'm not here to like diss that. We're just offering a different model. And and there's a social feed too. So in other words, whereas a lot of these full catalog platforms just push music at you, you can why does an artist have to go to Instagram to connect to their fans? And when you post something on Instagram, if you want it to get to all your fans, you have to pay $100. And Instagram makes $33 billion a year on our engagement. The entire music streaming industry last year, depending on who you ask, was roughly like 40 to 48 billion. So Instagram alone is like, so on Helios, that engagement is actually your $10. If I only like your post, Bob, and that's all I did that month, and I'm paying the subscription, you're getting $10. If I like your post and I listen to Seduction, you're getting 5 cents, they're getting $9.95. Basically, it all goes into this algorithm, and it's going to be fun to see what happens with this. I just want to reward all those areas, in social where artists don't even complain about it because they're just used to giving away their IP. They're just like, I'm going to make Instagram money all day long to get that quick little dopamine kick. But you know what? I'm not cool with that. So anyway. You know what? We're trying to disrupt that.
You're empowering the artist. You're helping the artist. You're empowering him and helping him.
Yeah,
And that's
but
what's all
also
about.
everyone on Helios is a creator. If you are doing, if you are creating viral content, you should be compensated for your viral content. If you're creating like something that's rewarding to other folks on the platform, why does Nike have to sponsor you for like for if you're a influencer or you're create, it's just anyway. We'll see
What
what, but
is
again, I'm just saying, it's a different platform. We're having fun, and that's the jam.
what's the future hold for Helios? What do you got in the come in? What do you got in the box for us? So, anything that people, our listeners, or viewers, or fans of Helios, should be looking for? Any new, should I say, any new functions, new components,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
things that you guys working on?
I mean, we're working on everything at once, and I'm flipping through my phone
Yes.
right now on, but the I think as of the last 10 minutes, let's just see here. Oh, it's going live in 20 minutes but yeah, I mean, the social feed is coming back in. We basically had to rebuild the platform to get it through the Apple app
Uh,
store, and we're just dropping new features weekly. But the Heo token is going live. It looks like, well, actually, it might be second week of August, possibly September 1st. That's the rewards token in here. There's a social feed. I mean, there's a lot coming up. I don't want to give
okay,
away a
so I
couple of the biggies, but like,
no, you know what? Let's tell our viewers and listeners where to go. Go to
yeah,
Helios
it's
Creators.
Helios.party.
That's
Helios
oh, I
Party
like
on.
that. Helios dot party. Okay,
Yeah, we also
Helios
locked down
dot party.
Helios.music. That's a new, if people are looking to lock down their music URLs, that's coming out soon. I think they're dot
Okay.
music is happening in September. But
Any advice you have for someone who's starting in the music business? That we all know that there's a lot of gatekeeping in the music business, and somebody going to watch this interview and see how positive and enthusiastic you are, and how always looking up, never look back, and you're gonna fall, you're gonna fail, just get up and keep going. So what advice you have for them? Say, hey, you know what, he did it, I want to do it.
I mean, make a record, put it out, don't overthink it, and and then make another one. And it's like,
Mhm.
you can't get around if you want. I mean, if we're talking about artists and becoming an artist, it's just about
Yes.
doing the thing. And I would think,
Mhm.
like the TikTok model is all about like content over quality necessarily, quantity over quality. But I mean,
They have both. They have both.
I mean,
They have everything.
but there was a minute there 3 years ago where Canadian Music Week, they had an influencer up on stage and they were like, so, well, what do you got to do to cut through on TikTok, to cut through the clutter? And he's like, to be honest, it's about quantity. It's just like
You
this.
cannot get a better honest answer than that.
I know. But, I mean, yeah, for people, I was just saying, like, I think one of the cool things about music right now is that,
Hmm.
you know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, people were trying to chase down the radio track, right? And you had to really have it
Yes.
honed at a certain thing. But I think actually it's getting back to, somebody told me this a long time ago. They're like, if you've got a hit, you could record it through, a ghetto blaster, record it through a phone, and people are still going to like it. In other words, like, I wish that I didn't iron out some of the magic on some of like sometimes the demos, just go with them. And to be honest, nowadays it makes records more unique. Like I
Yes.
would if I that's probably the one thing I wish I didn't do. And it comes up in that South Park documentary too, where they're like, you know what, we could spend another 6 months on an episode, but spending 6 days, yeah, maybe it could get 5% better if we spend another 6 months, but probably not. So yeah, I would get looser and easier with like recording and releasing, but as you do that, I mean, you end up writing cooler stuff. Anyway.
Well, as you see that the technology is really shaping the music business in a whole. So, what is your what's your opinion on it? How
I mean, I can't wait
how's
to
it going?
actually. I haven't dove into the AI like generating stuff. But I mean, even with AI generating something, if you're like, I want to make, whether it was AI or not, I mean, I've sat down and gone like, I'd love to make like a Willie Nelson style track, and at least it's like, or like I want to write a Universal song, etc. Sometimes boundaries can be helpful. Like I've got no idea how generic music is about to sound, but if used the right way, like like Ableton, God, it is the most unintuitive program ever. I wish I could sit down in front of a computer screen and go, okay, I want a 4 on the floor here, and just like literally talk to my computer and write a song that way. That would be awesome. I kind of can't wait till also
Yes.
try to like, I've just been like, AI as a tool, I think is going to be great. I don't want to have to like, every time I open up like, God, like what was it? Adobe Premiere the other day. And I'm just like, it's been a while since I cut a music video. I was like, why? I got to relearn this thing. This isn't what I want to spend my time on. I want to get like just the cool bits. So I actually like, I'm pro AI. I think there's going to be some really unique ways that will help us as tools. And people just need to think, like they just need to get creative with those tools.
That's it. You got to embrace it, learn it, and just work with it like we did back in the day when modules came along and all of these different tools that put in the studio. It didn't replace the live band, but it gave you option to use certain sounds, whether you want a live acoustic sound into your production, if you're a producer, a music artist producing your music, and you was like, no, I like this sound. It's better. It's different. It's not, and it's all about being creative and having option. It's all about having more options and accessibility to advance the sound, to make things better, to bring, we look at it, sounds from the 70s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all these sounds came with advancement. The freestyle, how freestyle, the sounds of freestyle different than the disco sounds and hip hop. It just, to me, yes, technology is great. I do embrace it. I'm all with AI, and nobody's taking anybody's job. The only person who's going to take a job, the person who knows how to use AI. That's it. That's the person who's going to take the job. If I know how to use AI, I'm going to take your job because I know how to work AI. That's all. So humans still going to replace your job because all you have to do, say, you know what? I'm going to learn it. Why? I'm going to learn it. So nobody else going to come in who knows how to operate it or use it and use it better than me and get ahead of me.
I mean, like you made me think when you talk about hip hop there, when the MPC came out and people had 12 seconds of sampling time. And so like they would sample, a kick drum and it was like a fraction of a second or a second. And then they'd have a 4-second, like, melody section or whatever. And you end up with like these constraints. Like at the time that was cutting edge technology, sampling like older records. But, it ended up opening up a brand new sounding genre. And like, I can't wait to, like, I'm pretty bored of guitar rock bands, like, drummer, bass, guitarist, and the vocals. Although, sometimes you hear a song and it's like perfect for that. But like, it's just, it's like, I can't wait to see what happens, what new genres open up. Like, I do feel like we're, I don't want, the flip side, what everybody gets worried about, oh my God, we're going to just have like the most mundane pop songs. Well, we're only going to have the most mundane pop songs if radio decides to play that. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But somebody's going to use this tool and just make cool shit. Like, also, if anyone wants to sample me and Bob talking here and put it through an AI thing and send us a hit, we're going to share it. Let's rock it all together.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Well, listen, it's been a great, informative, exciting, and inspiring interview, I have to say. I'm sure our listeners, and viewers at Soundbreaker is going to definitely enjoy this interview. You've been great, buddy. Absolutely, Ryder.
Thanks, Bob. I really appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for joining us today. And this concludes today's episode of Soundbreaker. Please make sure you follow us on socials and stay tuned for our new episode. And see you soon.
Sweet.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.